D.C., Chicago, New York. I was trying to get to L.A.
I'm Tony Kornheiser. I've done shows from right there, and now right here. Our director, Tom Howard, often asks me to move as much as 4 inches to my right. But I'm pretty much in the attic, Wilbon. I'm pretty much here.
I was trying to cover 3,000 miles, Tony, for the first time since March.
That would have been very exciting for you. I don't really go 3,000 miles. That's about 12 steps up, and that's about it. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Celtics try again. College basketball gets the green light, and B.Arians says he and Tom Brady are on the same page. But we begin today with the U.S. Open at Winged Foot. Justin Thomas, who already has one major, took the early lead with a 5 under 65. Patrick Reed, who also has a major, was next at 66, including a hole-in-one. And Tiger Woods, who has 3,000 majors and had cruised along at even for most of his round, well, he bogeyed 17, he doubled 18, he ended up +3. Wilbon, I've watched all day. I know you have too. What's your takeaway from round one so far?
That everybody who was talking about how hard the course is going to be, including you, looks pretty silly right now. The course wasn't hard.
Yes.
Okay? I was at a much harder course with these same players a couple of weeks ago at Olympia Fields. Tony, 65, 66, what are we talking about? Now I realize there was no real wind, okay? And I realize it's the first day. But, I mean, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in the U.S. Open because of all the hype. Hype. The scores are going to be 5 and 6 over. And, Tony, I realize the history of Winged Foot for the U.S. Open as a U.S. Open venue is just that. But that ain't what we were treated to today so far. And guys seem to be having a relatively easy time in the context of the United States Open.
Well, I'll give you some people who are over at this point. Let's see. I have notes, and the notes aren't even any good. Kuchar is +4. Morikawa is +6. Sergio's +4. Justin Rose is +3. Spieth is +3. But I agree with you. The course
only
seemed
Justin Rose
receptive.
surprises me out of that group.
It seemed receptive. People could go for pins and stuff like that. I mean, I just have very small impressions here. I did find out that Rory McIlroy, if he opens 67 or better in a major, he wins it. He's won 3 times at 67 or better.
Open 67.
I love the fact that Justin Thomas had the sand save, I believe, on 17, and then a birdie on 18. I was sad for Tiger. But Patrick Reed, who you hate him because he wears red on Sunday, because you don't want him to be like Tiger, even though Tiger loves him. How are you with his red pants? Were you okay with his red pants?
I've come to this place. You know how when you dislike people for a while, and then sometimes you realize, I know in your case, because I've said to you, you got to turn it around. You have no reason to hate this guy. You go, yeah, I don't. I mean, I have no real reason to hate Patrick Reed other than most of the golfers, most of the guys on tour hate him. I'm okay with it. You know, he's a star. Patrick Reed is a star. DeChambeau, who is also widely disliked on the tour, he's a star. So these guys, it's fine, Tony. Let me say this about Rory. When Rory walked off, to show you how receptive Winged Foot is today, Rory was like 67. You know, there was more out there to be had. I think Rory thought he should have shot 65. But I mean, it's a great start for him.
It surprised me because everybody at Winged Foot said it's going to be hard. I was watching the Golf Channel early this morning, and Justin Leonard said he would kick his feet up on Sunday and take off his shoes if he was +2 on Sunday. So we got a bunch of days to go. But, I mean, it had here's Phil Mickelson on a cloudy day wearing shades and opening up birdie, bogey.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, then he sort of settled down. Let me just say this. I watched the Golf Channel to catch live from the U.S. Open until 5 a.m. You probably started at 3:30 a.m.
I picked it up at 5 a.m. And by the way, I've played Winged Foot once in my life. I think I shot a smooth 121. So
that's good. That's great. That's good. Let's move to college basketball. The NCAA cleared teams to start playing as soon as November 25th. Schools can play up to 25 games plus 1 tournament or as few as 13 and still qualify for the NCAA tournament. Some mid-majors are concerned that Power 5 programs will cut them out of their schedules. So, Tony, does the college basketball plan seem sound to you?
I'm really glad they're going to play. I'm really glad that they're going to start right around Thanksgiving when a lot of schools are going to send their students home for an extended winter break, so there won't be a lot of people on campus. I'm really glad there's a national coherent policy for basketball, which there isn't in football, where you have these big conferences acting like feudal states. I am really glad, Mike, that they're going to keep the tournament to 68, and they rejected this stupid plan by ACC coaches to bring in 4,000 schools.
Never
and I'm also glad for your conference. I'm glad the Big Ten hasn't decided to drop out yet. I'm happy for that.
Yeah, I know. Somebody who can make fun of somebody else's conference who went to where? Oh, yeah, Binghamton. Somewhere out there across one of those bodies of water
we rule,
from where
America
I am
East.
now. Yeah, the America East really floats the boat.
Yeah.
I'm glad, I guess. You know, Tony, I'm glad. I still am in a position. Look, I don't know if we are better, but we think we're better. We think we're better off, and sports have come back, and we see things without fans or very few fans, and you're trying things, and you've got improved, increased, faster testing in some ways, which is why, in part, the Big Ten football season is back. So, look, Tony, if all those things can operate and help you get these sports out there and get kids doing what they want to do and what schools doing with revenue streams, all that's good. But let me just say, November 25, Tone, if you listen to the science, and I know despite your now trying to sidle up and smooch up to the SEC and the Big 12, I know where you live, I know how you vote, I know who you are. By November 25, we're supposed to be, according to scientists, some of who live down the street from both of us, NIH,
second wave.
We're supposed to be in flu season. Yeah. So so let's not get so ahead of ourselves like Wingfoot is going to crush everybody. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves.
Well, let me just go back on a couple of things. I am perfectly okay not having interconference games at the beginning of the season on aircraft carriers or in the Bahamas. I hope people stay close to home and they stay within their conferences. To your point, though, about mid-majors, they need to play high-end, tough schools to build a resume to say that they have strength of schedule. We're talking about schools like Gonzaga last year, Dayton, VCU, schools like that. So I see how it would be tough. You know how you solve that, Mike? The selection committee works a little bit harder, and they see more games, and they watch mid-majors play, and they make a determination as to who's good. You just work a little bit harder. Let's go now to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and America's new fun couple, Tom Brady and Arians. You'll remember after Tampa Bay lost to New Orleans, Arians was pointedly critical of Brady's play, criticizing his throws, saying he needed to show more grit. Well, now Arians is saying, and I quote, "Tom and I are fine. I don't care what other people think. It's just what he and I think. There ain't nothing to talk about," unquote. Wilbon, let's give him something to talk about right here.
Oh, yeah. There's plenty to talk about, and Brett Favre was talking about it. So, and Brett Favre has more credentials than Arians, okay? So if we're going to talk about who's higher in the NFL food chain over the last 25 to 30 years, it's Brett Favre. And all the Brett Favre's points made sense. Now, I will say this. There had to be so many things, particularly early on, that Tom Brady did not particularly like about Bill Belichick. But the NFL ain't the NBA, and it ain't Major League Baseball, and you just don't say, hey, I'm out of here, or you don't hire or fire the coach. It doesn't work that way. So Arians sort of has Brady over a barrel, if you will. Brady's got to take this. There's nothing he can do. Make his shoot back on social media, but that's not Tom Brady's way. You talk about an ultimate team guy, other than screaming at his lineman on Sunday when he gets sacked. He's a team guy through and through to his core. So he's got to take it, right?
No, yes, to some degree, but we're coming up on an election, and I want to talk about a great phrase from election night, which is let's wait until all the precincts are in. Arians may think there's no problem. We haven't heard from Brady yet. It's like Matt LaFleur may think there's no problem with Aaron Rodgers, but I think maybe there is a problem. In this particular case, I was stunned. As you know, I went on this show after Arians said these things, and I said, what? How many rings does Arians have exactly that he would criticize Brady? Brady's not out of college, Mike. He's not some kid. Right. He's a man. He's 43 years old.
That's right.
And if you make him angry and you destroy him psychologically because you think you're the smartest guy in the room, you end up with Blaine Gabbert. Blaine Gabbert. Is that what you want?
But what can Brady has no recourse in this league. This ain't the NBA where you can get a coach, no matter how prominent, fired before the All-Star break. It's not that league.
You don't have to get him
Brady's
fired.
Got to eat this.
Well, To some degree, he does. You're right. Because he's not trying to get Bruce Arians fired. But I think the problem with Bruce Arians may be that he thinks he's the smartest guy in the world, you know? And it's like that college guy, Mike Leach, who thinks he's smarter than everybody else all the time. You got Tom Brady.